my rifle, in my life. Heavy, in my rifle, in my life. Heavy, in my rifle, in my life.
You know, I went to bed angry, and I woke up still angry. I don't normally make videos on a weekend. If you see some of my videos pop up on a weekend, it's because I've had some extra time and recorded them in the week and scheduled them. But I couldn't let this lie until Monday. I'm of course referring to what happened at Vidcon with Anita Sarkeesian. I am really pissed. I'm having to keep my voice down because my partner's still asleep. But I would be shouting if I could. Now, there's a philosophy espoused in Neil Stephenson's book, The Diamond Age, about hypocrisy that I try to adhere to. I'll put it at the end so you can read it. But in this instance, just no. Sarkeesian's hypocrisy is just too egregious and obvious, and it has really fucked me off. You know, she's on this panel that's supposed to be about empowering women, but she's pushing this victim narrative and ends up making it all about her. She's supposed to be an anti-harassment activist, amongst other things, and yet she uses her position of power, her bullhorn, her pulpit, to single out someone in the crowd and attack them, and on such an idiotic premise as well. You know, people's criticisms of you, Anita, don't change because your arguments never fucking change, because you don't answer to criticism. As I think Sargon called out from the crowd, you don't talk. You don't talk. You know, it is like arguing with a creationist. Their arguments never change, they never develop, they never evolve, they never, hardly ever, seem to even acknowledge the flaws that exist in their arguments. That's why when I'm in arguments with creationists, I can still refer back to Talk Origins, which is basically an archive of Usenet comments about arguments from creationists from the 90s, and it's still relevant and it's still powerful. Because their arguments never fucking change, and your arguments never fucking change. How can you claim to be an anti-harassment activist and yet use your bully pulpit to single out one person like that in front of a crowd when you have the mic and nobody else does? You know, and you don't talk, and people came up and they asked questions, and they asked sincere questions, I think. Even if some were a bit provocative, I think they were sincere. Because from the way you're behaving, why would anyone think you actually believe what you're espousing? Why don't you ever talk about the greater amount of harassment that men receive online? Because you don't care. It's not about that. It's about this fucking victim narrative. You're a meme. There's a reason people lined up against you. It's in the tradition of Jack Thompson, Pat Pulling, and Frederick Wortham and stuff. I keep belaboring that fucking point, and sooner or later it's going to get through to someone. These communities line up against you because you threaten them, because you tell bullshit about them, because your pseudoscientific arguments are just nonsense. You know, you're a chick tracked in comfortable shoes. That's what you are. Oh, Blackleaf. Only this time it's a feminist argument instead of a Christian one. But it's not a valid fucking argument. And then you dare to use this position in such a absurdly hypocritical manner. Do you know? And here I am on a Saturday morning, not even dressed, not even got my fucking glasses on. Because I'm so angry at your hypocrisy. You know, they were just there to watch. And the videos that people have made, alright, they might not be the most respectful, but they make arguments against you, arguments that you never answer, and you had an opportunity here to open a dialogue, to answer questions, to talk honestly, to defend what you believe, and you didn't take it. You shut down the panel early, you shut down the questions without even trying to answer them. So what are people supposed to think of someone who does that shit? There's the video that kind of debunks your claim to have been a fan of games and whatever, and yeah, that kind of exposes you. But I always used to think that, okay, you might have been lying about that kind of stuff, but at least maybe you were sincere, if misguided, on the other things that you were saying. You know, you had a feminist analytical eye, you just didn't know anything about games and were pushed into it by Macintosh or whatever. Maybe you were sincerely anti-harassment but just didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. It's very hard to consider you sincere in the wake of this. I mean, what the fuck are you doing? And your sycophants, your followers, your hangers-on have been unleashed by this against Sargon, and these are the same people, the same kinds of people that harassed me to the brink of suicide. But that was never a story, was it? You know, Gamergate was sincere, they just get dismissed, but you're taken at face value without the slightest investigation or thought on the part of most people. Oh, what about the harassment that happened to me? Doesn't that matter? All about the harassment that's happening to Sargon at your command, essentially. Why don't we talk about what your people do? You know, and your people are not a legion of anonymous, meaningless trolls that can simply be dismissed. These are people with names, these are people with faces, these are people with active, open audiences. You know? They went after my work, they went after my career, they went after my family, tried to hack into my social media. Someone, face it, probably one of these idiots, sent me a razor blade in the post following my suicide attempt. You don't talk about this, you don't apologize for this. It's an entirely one-sided narrative and it's complete bullshit. And you're a massive fucking hypocrite, and you've completely squandered an opportunity you could have had, like Lacey has done, to reach out, build bridges, try to understand and try to address criticism and understand other people's point of view, and you didn't fucking do it. Go fuck yourself, you hypocrite.